Hi friends, I'm Scott Giles and welcome to Power Talk, my podcast here on Facebook Live and YouTube. I cover topics related to spirituality, hypnotic coaching, and the hypnotic arts and sciences generally. If you want to know more about my professional work or sign up for my free e-newsletter, Power Lines, check out my website, which I'll tag at the end of this video. Well, some of you know I am a cat person. I have had as many as 9 cats, which was a bit much, but I had 4 and Lindsay had 5 and we got married. That made 9. The cats thought it was a bad idea too, but it's worked out and we have a much more reasonable number of feline friends living with us now. Well, my topic this week comes from a graphic I saw on Facebook where there was a photo of an angry-looking cat, and the caption was, "My spirit animal is a grumpy cat that swats annoying people." So, in the spirit of humor, I decided to base this podcast on that topic, because during the holiday season, most of us will encounter 1 or 2 annoying people. Now, any helping professional encounters his or her share of people who just seem mean. But we all know people like that, don't we? Co-workers, perhaps family members, other people who are part of clubs, churches, organizations. People who just seem to get off on making things difficult for others. Sometimes they are just malevolent. They lie, they cheat, they break rules, they subvert processes. Sometimes they don't do any of that, but they're passive-aggressive, uncooperative, or just uninterested. You can't count on them. They may talk a good line, but they don't do what they say. Annoying people. Now, some of these people may simply be ill. They promised to do something but got hit with a depression or some other problem and simply couldn't bring themselves to follow through, and they didn't have the energy to own up to that. But a lot of the time, that's not the case. Well, there are a couple of maxims I keep in my own mind to help me deal with such people. The first is not to attribute to malice that which can be adequately explained by stupidity. And in most cases, this covers the subject. Someone just didn't understand they were being counted on, and they didn't realize it was important, and so they just dropped the ball due to carelessness and inattention. Happens a lot. The second maxim is that everyone can at least serve as a bad example. Now that may sound kind of problematic, but ancient philosophers and mystics sometimes proposed that difficult and annoying people were actually put into our path by a spiritual power as a way of helping us discover that we have resources that we didn't realize as we deal with them. There's a story of a Zen master who was once asked why there are so many annoying people in the world. Well, the master pondered and said, "To help you thicken your skin." Now, I really don't believe spiritual powers deliberately salt the world with annoying people as a way of training the rest of us. But there is something to the fact that because we can't control what other people do, we have to learn how to deal with them effectively if we're going to be effective and happy in our own lives, so we can roll with the chaos they cause. and still come out okay on the other side. Let me share a personal story. I was once asked to attend a public meeting in the village of Oak Park, Illinois, where at the time I served as a parish minister to a prominent church in that village, Frank Lloyd Wright's Unity Temple, a national landmark. A member of the town government, I'll call him Jim, that wasn't actually his name, but I'll use that for now, said, we'd just like you to give a short blessing and say a word or two about how nice Oak Park is. Well, no problem, I said. Like most clergy, I keep a blessing or two in my head to use at odd moments, and I knew I could easily extemporize, a couple of paragraphs about how nice a community the place was. After all, there was architecture, cultural events, easy. So I got to the event, and the official introduced me by saying, "And now the Reverend Dr. Giles will offer a blessing and then speak about the spiritual meaning of Oak Park and how different it is from other places where he's lived. Dr. Giles, you have the floor for 15 minutes. Well, did I mention the village official was an annoying person? He was. He set me up deliberately because he belonged to a very conservative church in the community that didn't like my theologically more liberal denomination, and so he figured he'd take the opportunity to publicly embarrass me by giving me a 15-minute talk that I thought would be like 1 or 2 minutes. Well, I realized that I couldn't do anything about the dirty deal he'd given me, so I winged it. I just made up a speech on the spot about how much I love the Midwest in general and Oak Park in particular. And as I wound it up, I referred to stories about how Frank Lloyd Wright, who designed the church building I served in, and Ernest Hemingway, another prominent Oak Park figure, both actually disliked the village of Oak Park. And so I conducted an imaginary dialogue with their spirits, explaining why I disagreed. And as I brought in closing, I said there was a story that Frank Lloyd Wright said at one point that while a bad doctor buries his or her mistakes, a bad architect can only advise his or her clients to plant vines. So I told that story, and I went on to note that there were no vines on the public buildings anywhere in Oak Park, with one exception: the village hall where Jim worked. And that was how I ended the talk. I got applause and many positive comments. Annoying people exist to help thicken our skin. He was trying to get me embarrassed, and instead I ended up publicly tugging his chain. So this holiday, when you confront annoying people, and you very well may, don't rise to the bait. Don't lose your temper. Instead, let them help you by encouraging you to thicken your skin and show everyone how solid a person you are, because you didn't need to swat them like a grumpy cat. Hey, thank you for your time and attention today. I'll be back next week with another talk on a different subject. I'd like to invite you to join me. It does help me if you let others know about my work and videos, so please like, share, and subscribe. And if I can be of help to you, don't hesitate to reach out. Have a great week.